Good Friday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Here are a few of the stories we have coming up for you tonight. The Washington Department of Ecology has issued penalties to 2 businesses for environmental violations that happened locally. The YWCA of North Central Washington and Wenatchee Valley College marched to take a stand against racism yesterday. And in weather, get ready for temperatures in the 80s this first weekend of Apple Blossom Festival. Your complete forecast is coming up. The man who kept a SWAT team at bay in his Chumstick Highway trailer home last month is competent to stand trial in his assault case. That's the finding of a mental health evaluation submitted this week in Chelan County Court. Abel D Wilkes is accused of pointing a rifle at his landlord during a dispute back on March 28th, then refusing police orders to surrender when a multi-agency police tactical team arrived with a warrant. Wilkes dismissed his public defense attorney on Wednesday and now must be appointed new counsel. Meanwhile, he remains held in the Chelan County Jail on $250,000 bond. A fire broke out in a Walker Avenue home in South Wenatchee yesterday, just minutes after the city declared it unsafe to occupy. Neighbors said the house had been taken over by squatters since the owner died a year ago, and mounds of trash had built up in the backyard and garage. City inspectors said the house had no running water or sewer service, and occupants had begun emptying human waste down a nearby alley. Shortly after they placed a notice on the house about noontime, multiple people ran from the residence and a fire started at the rear. The Wenatchee Valley Fire Department was able to extinguish the blaze, and today, removal crews hired by the city began the process of cleaning out the property. The house was foreclosed earlier this year after the owner's death and is now owned by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. The Washington Department of Ecology has issued penalties to 2 businesses for environmental violations that happened locally. Bison Transport and Bremer Construction were issued fines for the fourth quarter of 2022. Bison Transport was issued a $2,500 fine after a transport truck crashed through a guardrail in Leavenworth and went down an embankment, causing 124 gallons of diesel fuel to be released in the Wenatchee River and another 40 gallons on the soil along the riverbank and roadway. A $9,000 fine was issued to Bremer Construction in Rock Island for burning prohibited materials, including tires and metal, in an outdoor fire on an empty parcel. The department issues penalties where non-compliance continues after Ecology has provided technical assistance, warnings, or for serious violations. The Colville Confederated Tribal Council held an evidentiary hearing on allegations of unethical conduct made by former Vice Chairman Jack Ferguson. The accusations involved alleged attempts to influence the management of Sandpoy Treatment Center. The council voted 10-2 to recommend the expulsion of Ferguson as the appropriate disciplinary action. They were deadlocked 6-6 on whether to impose the costs of the investigation on him, and 8-4 to recommend a $1,000 fine on Ferguson. The recommendations are not final unless they're accepted at the next special session of council, which is scheduled for May 18th. When we come back, Chelan County wants to add about 20 acres of open space and wetlands to the Wenatchee River County Park. The YWCA of North Central Washington and Wenatchee Valley College marched to take a stand against racism yesterday. And an iconic ski lift has been retired by Stevens Pass Ski Resort. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Chelan County has operated migrant farm worker housing in Wenatchee River County Park in Monitor for more than 20 years. Now the county wants to add about 20 acres of open space and wetlands to the park to make up for the conversion of the 8.6 acres now dedicated to farm worker lodging. The park was developed back in 1971 using $413,000 in state recreation funds. So on Tuesday, the State Recreation and Conservation Funding Board voted to approve the new land use. The new land is currently owned by the State Department of Transportation. Once completed, the addition would increase the park's total size to 42 acres. The YWCA of North Central Washington and Wenatchee Valley College marched to take a stand against racism yesterday. The event, which is part of a national campaign by the YWCA USA, partnered with the Apple Blossom Festival this year. Participants gathered at the YWCA thrift store for some sign making and then marched together to the YWCA administration building on First Street for speeches, refreshments, and tacos. Both the cities of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee proclaimed April 27th as Stand Against Racism Day at earlier council meetings this month. East Wenatchee Mayor Jerry Crawford read the city's proclamation to the crowd.
So whereas all residents, regardless of race, creed, or ethnicity, deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, compassion, and justice. And whereas East Wenatchee, Washington residents value initiatives that will end race-based disparities and make the world a more equitable, inclusive, and dignified place for all to live. And whereas the elimination of racism can be achieved only with the participation of all residents in dialogue, reflection, and action. And whereas the City of East Wenatchee, Washington supports YWCA NCW in its praiseworthy mission to eliminate racism, empower women, stand up for social justice, help families, and strengthen communities. And whereas the City of East Wenatchee proudly supports the Wenatchee Valley College and YWCA NCW in celebration of Stand Against Racism, to build community among those who work for racial justice and to raise awareness about the negative impact of institutional and structural racism in our communities. Be it resolved that the City of East Wenatchee of Washington hereby declares April 27th, 2023 as YWCA Stand Against Racism Day and encourages residents, local businesses, educators and community and faith-based organizations to celebrate diversity and advocate for the elimination of racism. And I signed the proclamation on the 18th of April 2023. So you guys are doing exactly what this says. Thank you so much.
An iconic ski lift has been retired by Stevens Pass Ski Resort. The vintage riblet fixed grip Kerr's chair will be replaced this summer by a new fixed grip quad. Crews at Stevens Pass celebrated the Kerr's chair's retirement on Sunday, April 16th. On the last chair ride was Stevens Pass maintenance manager Scott Olson Sr. and Stevens Pass Alpine Club board president Michael Schmidt. The resort said they'll give updates on construction and the new chairs throughout this summer. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, Methow Park in South Wenatchee will be the site of an official Apple Blossom Health Festival. We'll tell you about that. And in weather, get ready for possible record-setting high temperatures tomorrow and maybe even on Sunday. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. That and much more still to come tonight. Please stay with us. Methow Park has become a jewel of South Wenatchee thanks in large part to the civic group Parque Padrinos. This Sunday, it's also the site of an official Apple Blossom Health Festival. The Be Well, Stay Well Festival of Health coincides with a major Mexican celebration of children's well-being. Organizers Bindu Nayak of Confluence Health and Teresa Bendito of Parque Padrinos joined us to give a preview.
Confluence Health is going to be partnering with Parque Padrinos to celebrate health and wellness on El Dia del Niño, or Children's Day. We are going to be offering health information about many different health topics, including diabetes, lung health, behavioral health, nutritional health, and many more. We'll be offering opportunities to do health screenings like blood pressure checks, blood sugar checks, and information on what to do if you do come up with an abnormal screen. We're also working with our community partners, including Chelan Health District and Washington State Department of Health, to offer vaccines. We also will have our medical specialists giving short talks about important topics like staying healthy in wildfire season.
April 30th is Children's Day, and this is a tradition that was started in Mexico, almost getting to 100 years of celebrating Children's Day. And so that is a tradition that people who live here in Wenatchee have remember growing up, especially first generation immigrants remember growing up celebrating that in their native country, and then now bringing that tradition here and making this a yearly event. And so the neat part of this is that we're also adding that cultural component, and we'll have some amazing performers that day. We have amazing talent in our community. We'll have our Parque Padrinos Folkloric Dance Group present, a mariachi group present, as well as college students, high school students, and even students from Pinnacles Prep.
We know that our community's health data shows us that there are differences in health outcomes based on race and ethnicity here in our community. We know that, for example, diabetes, control of diabetes is lower for Latino individuals. We know that colon cancer screening rates are lower for Latino individuals. So with events like this, we want to spread more health information, opportunities for cancer screening, so that we can achieve health equity. And health equity is the achievement of optimal health and wellness for all individuals. So that is one of our primary goals to achieve for our town and our community.
Time now to take a look at your North Central Washington weather forecast. And boy, how about this weather? It made for a beautiful Friday out there, didn't it? Check out this shot from our Rondo Rock PTZ camera provided by Localtel. Points right back at Turtle Rock, and look at the beautiful Columbia River today. What a great spot to be. But I'll tell you what, with these warmer temperatures and melt, rivers are going to run very high this weekend, a little bit next week. Yes, Stehekin River in our area, and also up north the Okanagan River. You can see some swift current, and that water is very cold. Some area lakes still only about 42 to 45 degrees, so be very careful in the water in this warm weekend coming up, and we'll get to that in a second. Boy, it started today. 77, our unofficial high temperature. That's 11 degrees above where we should be at 66 for this time of year. Record high 83, and that was set back in 1987. 46 this morning, and that's more in line with our normal low temperature for this time of year at 44. Record cold 32, and that was in 1986. Sun came up this morning at 5:49 and sets tonight at 8:08. Let's take a look now as we get you into the Technoplex Youth Parade, which is our first of two parades that we will be covering here on the NCWLIFE channel, so make sure you tune in for that. Look at the weather, mid-80s, Moses Lake, Ephrata, and Quincy. Quincy at 85, Wenatchee about 84. If we get there, folks, that will tie a record high temperature for us tomorrow. Lots of 84s up the Highway 97 corridor too. 82 for a high temperature. Leavenworth, a beautiful place to be tomorrow. I'll tell you what, it's all going to stay clear for the next couple of days, beginning tonight, mostly clear. High pressure is parked over really the Great Basin area, but it's providing a big dome of clear skies and sunny weather around the western U.S. There is an area of low pressure that will move in by tomorrow. We will possibly see, as I mentioned, record high temperatures in the mid-80s, but that area of low pressure will begin to bring a steady increase in clouds as we get you into the end of the weekend on Sunday. We're still going to call it mostly sunny throughout the day, increasing clouds during the evening hours. A beautiful end to our weekend with highs in the low 80s, and there's some of that cloudiness that will move our way as we make our way through the day on Sunday and as we kick off our next week of Apple Blossom Festival. But I'll tell you what, might be a little bit wet on Monday. We do see some scattered showers on our map for Monday, so we'll put about a 30% chance of showers in our forecast. Much cooler too. High temperatures in the low 70s, which is still above where we should be for this time of year. And then Tuesday, another area of high pressure begins to build in. Warmer, we will see highs jump right back into those low 80s getting you into Tuesday. And for Wednesday, midweek next week, it looks nice too. We will see mostly sunny skies. Warm weather will continue on Wednesday with highs in the low 80s, but unfortunately by Grand Parade weekend, looks like that system may move in, and we'll know much more about that as we talk when we get together again on Monday. So Thursday, there you have it, 30% chance of those thunderstorms, and that will kind of be the normal as we get into the next weekend. Notice the lightning flashes. Boy, we'd rather just see some rain than any of that lightning, but that is a possibility as we get you into the end of our forecast. Now your 7-day forecast, 55 overnight tonight. Possible record setter for Saturday at 84 degrees, 81 on Sunday. How about this weekend? Make sure you get plenty of sunscreen out this weekend. Chance for rain Monday and 72. Right back into those low 80s on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then our real first chance for thunderstorm activity this year. Partly cloudy, a chance for some lightning and thunder. Highs on Thursday, 74. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Well, the Seahawks surprised many by taking a cornerback with the 5th overall pick in last night's first round of the NFL Draft. Devin Witherspoon is a 6-foot, 180-pound defensive back out of Illinois that reminds Coach Pete Carroll of a player he coached who now is in the Hall of Fame.
Devin Witherspoon he's a rare player. And we've been through this draft since the years we've been here. We haven't seen a guy like this. And, we have not drafted corners high, and just because we haven't come across a guy of this makeup. And it's really it's his athletic ability, it's his speed, it's his playmaking, it's his mentality. Haven't come across a guy like this in a long time. Last time I recognized this kind of makeup was back at SC when we had a guy that you guys may know, Joey Polamalu, was a guy that had an extraordinary way about the way he played the game, and I saw this connection between what Devin does and how he looks at the game and how he approaches it that just knocked me out. And so I just really excited about this. He's physical, he's tough, he's got an attitude, he's going to bring it, he's going to fit in right with our guys, and it's a great matchup for us.
With the 20th overall selection, Seattle selected Ohio State wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, who Coach Carroll expects to work in nicely with a couple of other Seahawks starting wide receivers.
To come up with Jackson to get this done, we've got two guys that we love the way they play, of course, in Tyler and DK, and we need another guy to fit in with them. It's the competition with the guys that we have here will be wide open, but we see Jackson fitting in as that third guy with those guys that will complement them and make them better. He can play right now. He'll be able to do everything that we want him to do. Had a marvelous workout at the school when we were there. Showed us the kinds of physical stuff that we needed to see for his stock, because he's got a unique way that he plays the game. Great catching range, great catcher, terrific feel, excellent competitor, can make all kinds of clutch plays, and a come-through guy that I know Gino's just going to fall in love with. So we're really excited about what just happened. And Johnny he was working, man. He was working those phones. But it was right for us to stay right where we were, to get these guys. These were guys we were hoping we would put on our team. And so really pumped up about this.
Seattle General Manager John Schneider says the pre-draft process brought the Seahawks to selecting the best 2 players available with their 2 first-round picks.
Got through the first round. Really excited about Devin and Jackson and what they're going to bring to this organization. Both big-time competitors. Devin, arguably one of the most physical players in the draft, regardless of position, and Jackson, big-time production, and arguably the best receiver in this draft class. Well, in our opinion, he wasn't the best.
Seattle has 2 selections in today's second round of the NFL Draft and will finish with 6 more picks through the weekend. Well, the Seattle Kraken have a chance to clinch their first ever Stanley Cup playoff series at home tonight. Leading Colorado in the best-of-7 series 3-2, the Kraken host the Avalanche in Game 6 tonight at Climate Pledge Arena. They'll drop the puck coming up at 7 o'clock on TNT and Root Sports Northwest. Well, the Mariners lost a pitcher's duel in Philadelphia yesterday, 1-0. Matt Stram and 4 relievers held Seattle to just 4 hits in the shutout as the Phillies took 2 of 3 games in the series. Logan Gilbert Gilbert did his job. He pitched all 8 innings, allowing just 1 run on 4 hits with 7 strikeouts. Seattle's in Toronto today to begin the first of a weekend series north of the border. Turning to the Les Schwab Prep scoreboard from Thursday, we'll start off on the baseball fields. Liberty Bell beat Oroville 28-7. Waterville Mansfield topped Pateras 17-3. Okanagan blew out Bridgeport 33-7. Now on the schedule today, Quincy was hosting Omak in a doubleheader. Lake Roosevelt visiting Brewster. Eastmont at West Valley. Wenatchee hosting Moses Lake. Ephrata at Prosser, and Pateras traveling to Riverside Christian. Coming up in action tomorrow, gets underway at 11 o'clock with Chelan at Cascade. Riverside Christian hosts Pateras again. Liberty Bell's at Tonasket. Manson welcomes Bridgeport. Well, 17 was the magic number for a couple softball teams yesterday as Ephrata beat Cascade 17-1 and Okanagan blanked Bridgeport 17-0. Doubleheaders on tap today included Omak at Quincy, Brewster hosting Lake Roosevelt, and Waterville Mansfield visiting Manson, Cascade taking on Chelan, then West Valley at Eastmont. Wenatchee is visiting Moses Lake. Coming up tomorrow in softball, Moses Lake is at Mount Si for a doubleheader beginning at 10:30. At 11, it's Warden at Okanagan, Tonasket hosts Liberty Bell, and Bridgeport is at Manson. Well, in Prep Boys soccer last night, Sela edged Ephrata 3-2. Cashmere dumped Quincy 2-0. Tonasket topped Liberty Bell 5-3. It was Okanagan over Oroville 2-0, and Bridgeport blanked Pateras 9-0. On the pitch today, Cascade playing at Omak, Tonasket welcoming Oroville. Sunnyside is at Eastmont, while Davis plays at Moses Lake. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, games have Warden at Omak, Okanagan hosting Pateras, Brewster's at Liberty Bell, and Bridgeport hosts Manson. Cashmere plays at LaSalle tomorrow afternoon starting at 1 o'clock. There are a couple big track meets that were underway today, the first of which in Connell for the invite there, then Peshast in the place for the Cascade Riki Invitational. Well, the Wenatchee Valley Skyhawks host a non-league game tomorrow night at the Town Toyota Center. Wenatchee's hosting the Spokane Wolfpack at 7 o'clock. Have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us here for sports. For more, head to our website at NCWLIFE.com. Happy Friday.
I'm Dan Coons, host of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Get your Monday going, the full week of Apple Blossom. We'll have highlights of the Technoplex Youth Parade that we'll be telecasting, of course, on Saturday morning. Proud to do that. And everything else that happened Apple Blossom related over the first weekend of the 104th Washington State Apple Blossom Festival. And we got all kinds of great guests and some pretty interesting shows lined up for you for next week as we welcome, the 1st of May on Monday.
And that will do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call at 888-6295. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks so much for being with us, and have a great Apple Blossom weekend.